Traditional hiring methods like resumes and unstructured interviews often fail for a number of reasons. The first is humans are inherently biased. We create shortcuts in our brains to make decisions faster. So if we've hired an employee who worked at a particular company and they were a great employee, we're going to have a bias that people from that company are also going to be a great employee. We also like people who are more like us. So we look at resumes more favourably if they've got a similar background or from a similar place than what we are from. So our decision making isn't based on just if someone can do the job or not. Resumes and interviews are also hiring on proxies. We assume because someone has had prior experience or worked at a particular company, it means that they're going to be good in this role with our organisation. However, that's not always the case. Interviews are also testing things outside of skills. So they're testing how well someone interviews, how well someone tells a story. And for roles especially that are technical in nature, is not always a good indication of whether they actually have the skills or can do the role. So for all of these reasons, they can be unreliable and not consistent and rely on other aspects of hiring that are not to do with someone's capabilities. The definition of skills-based hiring is hiring someone based on their capabilities, what they can do, rather than things like prior experience, where they've worked in the past, degrees, or resumes. It's different from other hiring methods because we're actually testing whether someone has those skills, not relying on things like resumes or prior experience. And we're also testing whether they can apply those skills in the context of this organisation. Someone working as an engineer at Microsoft might need very different skills or very different capabilities than someone working at a very early stage startup. Therefore, we're testing the skills and application in context to the particular organisation that they're applying for. This differs from the old way of hiring because we're actually getting them to do job-related tasks rather than relying on things like resumes or interviews to see whether they're going to be a good fit for the role and for the organisation. With skills-based hiring, there are two types of skills that a lot of organisations look for. So one is inferred skills. Inferred skills are essentially relying on things like self-report, so getting a candidate to say whether they have a particular skill or not, or relying on things like personality testing, cognitive testing, behavioural interviews. We are inferring that someone has a personality means that they are going to be good at a particular skill or a job. A really good example of this is if we assume that someone, because they're extroverted, their personality trait, means they're going to make a good salesperson. We're inferring a personality trait means that they have the skills. However, these are not based on data, essentially educated guesses. When we're testing actual skills, we are testing someone's capability to apply knowledge or apply a skill. So we're looking at things outside of things like personality and behaviours and getting them to actually do tasks of the job. There's a risk if companies rely on inferred skills that we're actually not getting to the crux of someone's individual potential or the skills that they're actually going to bring to an organisation. We're also not taking into consideration that there are multiple cultural differences with inferred skills. Some particular cultures do not express themselves the way that other cultures do and therefore are viewed negatively or not as a good fit when actually they do have the right skills for the role. We're also not looking at things like diversity or people that might be on the spectrum. They present themselves very differently to those people who are not and therefore again are going to be disregarded from an application process when they do have the right skills. The most effective techniques that companies use to put skills-based hiring into practice is applying skills-based hiring or a skills lens across all stages of the recruitment process. So that starts from looking at the job description from a skills-based mindset. That means getting rid of things like degrees or prior experience and just looking at the skills that candidates or employees need in order to perform the role. Once we understand their skills job description, we then write an advert that relies just on skills. We're not looking for people who have prior experience or have worked for certain organisations. It's just what they need to perform the role. They then implement a skills assessment, so an objective measure of whether someone does or does not have those skills, and that is usually by a job simulation or a skills assessment that gets them to complete job-related tasks. Once the assessment has been completed, we would then introduce a skills-based interview, so we're looking deeper into the skills that they might have had or might not have had in that assessment, and we can delve deeper into that from a structured skills-based interviewing lens. A lot of organisations are jumping onto skills-based hiring without doing this critical step first. It doesn't matter what fancy technology you use or how you change your recruitment process, unless you understand what skills you actually need in each role within the organisation. It is critical to implement a skills mapping exercise before you introduce any changes to your recruitment process to include a skills-based hiring process, so you actually know what skills you need to hire. If you don't understand that critical component first, you are increasing the chances that you're still going to be hiring the wrong person because you're hiring based on the wrong skills. So before you introduce any skills-based hiring framework, technology, it is imperative that an organisation does a skills mapping exercise to understand first what skills are actually needed in the organisation, in the department, and in the role. Applying a skills-first framework across the whole recruitment process can make the process more efficient and more effective. There are a few reasons that it does this. Firstly, if we're introducing a skills-based hiring framework, we are opening the candidate pool to a number of candidates, which means your candidate pool can get a lot bigger. However, we're not having to review the resumes of all of those candidates, and we're only speaking to those who have been pre-validated that have the skills that we require for the role. This means the recruitment team are getting to better candidates faster. They're able to have better conversations with the candidates because we're not now fact-checking whether they have the skills. We know they're going to be a good fit for the role based on their skills at this point, and they're able to move those candidates through the funnel a lot quicker. From a hiring manager perspective, they're also able to interview less people to get the right hire, which means much less of their time is spent on interviewing and more time is spent in their actual roles. It also makes it a lot fairer for candidates because now we're giving everyone an equal opportunity to put their best foot forward as we're hiring on merit and not background. We're not just looking for candidates who have prior experience, we're opening it up to anyone from other industries or from entry-level candidates who have no prior experience at all.